before we begin and dive in, let me just give a very simple, it's an understated introduction to Suze, because honestly, the amount of knowledge and experience and value that you bring to our industry, Suze, deserves a much bigger stage and introduction than what I could possibly give you. But I know that you and I have chatted on and off and have done things in the past, and you've been part of the real estate industry for a number of years. You are now the founder of the Nature of Real Estate Institute, and you're also the director for the negotiating.
Yeah, it's the Negotiation Institute is a U.S. organization, but I'm the Canadian director.
That's right. Yes. So you guys, we are extremely excited to welcome Suze. And Suze, maybe you can just share a little bit of how you started, how you got into the industry, and what you're up to now.
Oh boy, that's a lot. Thank you so much for having me. The best is definitely an overstatement. You can never be the best. It's all about learning and continuing to learn, but I'm a good learner. And truth bombs. Now I feel like this huge pressure to deliver truth bombs. So I got this. So I'm Suze. I've been in real estate. You ready? 1985. That would be 37 years. I was 21 when I started. I sold in Toronto and met so many hundreds of people. It was really, really great. And then I left selling real estate in 2007 and started the company, The Nature of Real Estate, sort of coaching, training. I used to take realtors on these really cool sort of journeys into the wilderness to help with mindset change. I mean, it's been an incredible experience. But fundamentally, what I really love to do is help real estate agents gain the skills they need to be really good at selling real estate. And that obviously has brought my focus into negotiations and the complexity of negotiations. And so I've been running the CNE and the MCNE courses since 2013 with over 5,000 or 6,000 Canadian realtors having completed the program.
Yeah, you have touched so many lives. And I say that because honestly and truly, the skills that you develop in agents and within our industry help us to be better. And that's really what we're here for today, is to learn from you and your experience and your wisdom on how can we be better negotiators. And maybe a really great place to start would be to ask you, in your experience, in your 30 years, what is it that defines a good realtor?
Yeah, so this is something that's really near and dear to me. This idea of what is a good realtor, because most of the training we get is about lead generation and conversions. And I'm like, well, if you're no good at real estate, you're going to have to do a lot of lead generation, because you're not going to get any repeat and referral business, or you're going to get limited repeat and referral business. And nobody's really ever asked the questions, what does it mean to be a great realtor? What it means is getting better outcomes for your clients. Getting better results for your clients is simply what being a great real estate agent is about. It's not about making more money or winning more awards. And so how do you get better results for your clients? That is all embedded in negotiation skills. So it's being able to earn the right to represent the client because you're good at what you do, and you're good at speaking about how that's valuable to them. And then being able to deliver and sell houses for exceptional results and create amazing experiences. Help your buyers. I mean, through this crazy sellers market, it wasn't a coincidence that the same agents were getting their buyers into houses over and over again. People say, oh, it's a crapshoot. It's just money. Well, except that the same agents were getting their buyers into houses over and over again. And that was because of their skills in negotiations to be able to make that happen. So it's all about client results and client experience, which is where we're embedded in what does it mean to be a good realtor.
Yeah. And what I love about what you do and what you impress upon us is, when we think of negotiating, we think of win-lose. There's always a winner in this, right? It's a tough negotiation. Like, we have these ideas about what negotiation is. And maybe you can share a little bit about your philosophy, right? Really, when you're teaching people how to be better negotiators, what does that mean?
Oh, I love that. So it's not really my philosophy. I've done my studying, I mean, obviously through real estate, but also at Harvard. And where they teach a collaborative negotiation style, because it's the only sort of high level negotiation approach that exists is collaboration. But in real estate, it really rings true, because in any real estate transaction, everybody wants the same outcome. The seller would like to sell their house and the buyer would like to buy the house. And both agents, or all agents involved, would like their clients to be happy and to earn a commission. We're all on the same page. We just have a puzzle to solve. And the puzzle is, what are the price and the terms and the details and all of the interpersonal connections and the communication and dealing with the emotions, right? There's a sort of complex process to be able to get to an agreement. And when we work together to try to solve that puzzle, we're going to get way more transactions together and, you know, way better outcomes for our clients. So it's this collaboration. And I didn't build this. I mean, this is known in high level negotiation training across the world as the most important approach. It's more about the people and the situations than it is about the property. Fighting over price is not negotiating. Fighting over price is fighting over price. And it's really hard to get transactions done that way.
Yeah, and we see it, right? We see it time and time again where, you know, I mean, back when I got into the industry, and I'm not sure if you, you know, can corroborate that my experience, but it was very much about tough negotiations. You know, when we were trained, it was you sit here because this is the power position. The other person sits here. Here's how you know, handle the transaction and the offer presentation. And so it was very much set up to be a play about control and power. And so you're right, you didn't invent the philosophy, but you certainly planted those seeds in our industry to really help us see that it's not about the win-lose, it's about a win-win. And how do you put client first, and have people walk away feeling, you know, maybe not happy about the outcome, but you know, like they've been heard. I think that's, you know, a big piece. And I know that was a big frustration in the last little while with our sellers market, is that it felt very unfair. But I know from my experience of working with agents, the ones that have been trained by you do a much better job of being able to manage the expectations and manage the climate, right? The temperature of what's going on in the market.
Yeah, thanks. There's a lot in what you just said. You know, just on a little aside, you said about the unfairness that buyers have been feeling, which made me immediately think about the conversation you had with Daniel just last week, and how his solution made people feel like the system was more fair. So the truth is that during this strong sellers market, it has been unbearably difficult for buyers because of the incredible power balance against them. And agents who don't acknowledge that power imbalance were having a lot of trouble being able to deal, because the agent was, or the buyer was then blaming the agent. And so there's so much in what you said about that unfairness. So, but going back to like learning about tough negotiation. So one of the reasons that I decided to sort of get into training was, you know, my history in real estate. I had a great career. I was a single mom. My child had special health needs. So I was really under duress for time. And so the best answer to that was to be really good, because if you were really good, people wanted to work with you. So I got really good, and it was great. I had a wonderful career in Toronto. But what I noticed is the better I got, I was like, the training in real estate is wrong, right? Training people to be that type of negotiator, training people to sit at a table until they get a listing signed, training people to manipulate people to make choices that benefit the agent or the industry. This is wrong. And it's not only wrong because it's ethically and morally wrong, it's actually wrong for building success. Because when you do that, you have to earn every client anew. And when you don't do that, when you truly have the skills to partner with the client and to problem solve together with them and get them amazing outcomes, they're thrilled to send you all of their friends and family. You know, you never have to ask for referrals, because they're like, no, my God, Suze is like amazing at what she does. You shouldn't work with anybody else. So it's not only beneficial to the client, it's significantly beneficial to you as an agent. And I think that's a really important piece that we really need to own as an industry.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. You know, there's a lot of, you know, call it what you will, if it's a byproduct of COVID, a byproduct of all the stress that we're experiencing, you know, things have been getting ugly in certain areas of our industry. And instead of seeing agents work together and collaborate together, they're against one another. And I hear you loud and clear when you say that's not, you know, it's not, definitely not benefiting the clients, and it's certainly not benefiting, you know, our businesses. And so maybe you can talk to us a little bit about then what are some of those skills that you believe that realtors need in order to really thrive? You know, we're seeing transitions and changes in the marketplace, and you and I had a little pre-conversation around how many people seem to be surprised by that. But you know, talk a little bit about what are those skills that you think agents need right now, and really in order to master, you know, any changing market.
For sure, I think there's a lot of skills that are needed right now. I think like the first one is, let's normalize the market change. Anybody who thought that existing market was going to carry on forever, like none of you thought that. There's not a person who's in real estate who has any concept that's going on that thought that market would last forever. And so we all knew the market was going to change, and now the market's changing. This is normal, right? This is completely normal. 37 years in the business, I have seen the market change dozens of times. And you as real estate professionals, you're going to see the market change dozens of times. So first of all, just accept and normalize that. I did a big survey out to people and got a lot of really cool responses back, and people are afraid. Agents are afraid. And I understand that change is scary. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now that also are scary, but recognize that the clients that you represent are also having these worries about a changing world. So your job as a top level realtor is to be the leader, to have your own stuff managed. That's Michelle's job. Mindset, alignment with your values, making decisions, not getting caught up in the clutter, all of that stuff that Michelle does so well. That's important. And then being the professional that you're trained to be, not letting your emotions get in the way, being able to communicate with people at a deep and important level. And you really help them understand what's happening in the market, what their choices are, and how you're going to be able to help them build a strategy to execute on their needs. And, this is always important in real estate, but it's more important now because what I did get back in those same surveys was my sellers aren't listening to me. My buyers aren't listening. They don't understand. I mean, I got that from 75% of the responses.
Yeah.
And that's on you, right? That's not on them. That's on you. You're the professional. You're the expert in real estate. It's your job to be able to have the skills to communicate with them and help them understand. And that's hard. That's collaboration, because if they feel like you're just trying to get a listing, you're just trying to get a deal, you're just trying to make something happen, they're like, mm-mm. But if you truly can collaborate and build this trusting relationship, which is what negotiations is being able to build enough trust that you get the information, you get the respect, so that you can then also teach them and help them understand. So that is communications, and absolutely imperative right now. I mean, the agents that I work one-on-one with right now are sitting down and having some very in-depth conversations with their buyers and sellers to help them make good decisions.
Yeah, it's a counseling, it's a guidance that needs to happen. And you're right, it's human nature. And I talk about this from our perspective, right? When we are confronted with something new, unfamiliar, or we have a perception or an idea of what's happening, automatically the alarm bells go off, right? In our brain, and we're put on high alert. And it's our defense mechanism that comes up. And when we feel threatened, we're going to put up a wall. And that's exactly what the clients are doing when they feel like, oh, am I being taken advantage of? Or are my needs being put first? Or is this the safe or right time for me to list this home or to buy a home? And so they're coming in with defenses high. And, I'm not sure if I'm going to go off course with this question, but I'd be curious, to know then, it's one thing when you have the opportunity to establish that collaborative relationship from the beginning, but what happens when you don't? What happens if things kind of veered off a little bit and you're starting to sense that the clients are getting apprehensive or that there's a wall there? What things can we do to help change the dynamics, right, of that relationship? And I know you talked about communication, and I know that's probably a big one.
So I love it. Spoken as a true agent, right? I mean, without a doubt, we're in these situations. They're highly inflated. They're highly emotional. People are highly charged. Everything seems to be going well. And then and I love your word, sense. We sense that something's gone off a little bit, and it has. Your intuition is very important. Something has broken the trust, and it may have been something you did. It may have been something you didn't do, or it may just be that, right? But that sensing is very important. And honestly, what I recommend people do in that moment is name it. Hey, I just lost you. Where you at?
Yeah.
Because that's the truth is you just lost them. So the truth is so important. And the other thing is the real estate agents don't, they haven't been really trained to always tell the truth. It's okay to say, I don't know where the market is. Well, what do you mean you don't know? Well, honestly, some properties are selling in multiples for stupid high prices, and other properties are sitting on the market. It's one of the strangest times I've ever experienced. But I've done some research for you and I brought it. Do you want to take a look at it? That's honest. And they all of a sudden get disarmed because they're like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, let's look at the information. So yeah, name it. I mean, it's real. If you feel a disconnect from the person you're having a conversation with, then that disconnect has happened. Mm-hmm. And you can't accuse them. It's just oh, I just felt like you kind of pulled back there. What's going on? Well, and they'll tell you, I'm not really sure about this. I was at the dentist the other day. this is thinking about it an aside. I go to the dentist, a new dentist, right? Because COVID's over and my dentist moved away or whatever. And it's all going really, really well until he tells me I need this thing done. And I'm like, why do I need that thing done? And he goes, well, you know, sometime in the next 10 years might cause you a problem. And I'm like, you got a new dentist who's looking to put some billing together. Boom, right? I'm like, and I named it. I said, you sure you're not just doing that to get some billing going? And he goes, oh my God, that's what it sounded like. And now we're friends, right? So this isn't unique to real estate agents, right? Communication can go askew, and our job as the leaders in a real estate conversation, whether it's a listing presentation or a buyer interview or an offer negotiation, is to have the skills to surface those uncertainties and be able to work through them.
I love that. There's so much, and it feels vulnerable. That's the word that keeps coming up. It's the vulnerability behind being honest, because honesty somehow translates to weakness in some cases, where it's the, if I don't know, I'm afraid to say that, or if I'm sensing something is off, not honesty in terms of integrity, honesty, but that being honest and upfront and vulnerable with saying, I don't know, or asking questions, as opposed to assuming that you have to have all the answers. And I think that's one of the struggles that I'm noticing agents are facing right now, is there's this pressure to feel like we have to have all the answers because the market's changing and things are not selling, like that. And some properties might still be getting multiple offers and others aren't. And so, what advice can you share in terms around that skill set that we were talking about that can really help agents navigate better now?
Yeah, you know what, this is something I see in real estate, is this, I'm afraid to say I don't know, or I'm going to pretend I know, or I'm going to like park it. Oh, we'll talk about that later. I'm like, if I'm interviewing you to list my $1 million house, I don't really want you to park my concerns, right? So that's not going to work well. So you guys really want to get so skilled that you have the confidence. That's the thing. I mean, we are representing people in massive, massive transactions that are incredibly complicated. And what we do matters. It matters to the people we're doing it for, which is why we get so well paid. And I'm not knocking what we get paid. A great agent's worth every penny. A great agent is worth every penny. But it means you kind of got to be a great agent, which means you got to know a lot. And that's hard, right? It's hard to know why that house sold last week with 6 offers and the one around the corner is still sitting. It means you have to take the effort to either get into those properties or have a relationship with the listing agent so that you're able to get that information. I mean, you have to have that information. You have to have the skills in negotiations to be able to have the confidence to step into the conversation. Current events. I mean, I got all these agents that keep telling me, oh, I don't read current events. It's too upsetting. And I'm like, but current events influence the psychology of the buyer pool and the seller pool. And it's our job to understand the psychology of the people that we serve. And so, not staying up with current events, economics and world views, puts you in a situation where you're not going to have the confidence that you need to earn the right to represent people in these incredibly important transactions that we do.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to take a moment and reset the room because I'm seeing a lot of people that are jumping in right now. And Tim Matthews says, what's up, Suze?
Hi, Tammy. How you doing? Same stuff. All good.
Yeah. So you guys, we've been talking with Suze and she's been sharing with us, from her experience and perspective on what those skills are that you need to manage the changing market. And you framed it beautifully when you said, first of all, let's normalize the fact that we are in a changing market. And the other things that we have talked about so far are really that power of building the connection, putting the client first, the communication, being, okay to say, that's a really good question. And I don't know. Gordon says in here, I don't have the crystal ball. Yes, that is the quote, end quote, right, that we hear, the common responses, but really being able to, I think, meet people where they are. I think that is a really important takeaway, is meet people where they are so that you have a level of understanding. Where you just ended off our conversation was really around, the importance of knowing what's going on in the world and current events, because that is influencing the psychology of our decisions of how buyers are feeling and how sellers are feeling. So understanding what things are happening in someone's world that is, causing them to be where they are. That's the place that they're making decisions from. And so I want to pause and ask all of you guys who are here today, if you have any specific questions that you want Suze to answer for you, a specific scenario. I want to encourage you to drop those in the chat, and I will continue to monitor them throughout our conversation. But I wonder if you can talk a little bit. So we've talked about communication. We've talked about the power of knowing, right? Being able to do your homework. You know, we got off for many years with not really having to do much in the way of research and, you know, pricing strategies. Like, that's a big one right now is, you know, we didn't really have to price or know how to price a home. I saw, this is why we ended up with the underpricing, overselling, multiple offers. It's like, you didn't have to do the work. So I've heard from you communication. I've heard from you, you know, having a level of understanding of where your clients are at, knowledge and skill set and research. What else is really important right now for agents to understand in order to really master this changing market and really become better negotiators at the end of the day?
Yeah, I wanted to address Gordon Sue's comment about the crystal ball, because I think it's an important one. I go back to that sort of survey I did, and I was like, I don't know what the market value is. And, you know, this is important. And I did a Facebook Live at the beginning of COVID, and everyone was like, how do I price stuff? How do I price stuff? And I'm like, we have to stop thinking that we know the price that something is. Market value as a definition is simply what a buyer will pay and a seller will accept, neither party being under duress, right? I mean, it has nothing to do with us as real estate agents at all. And what we're doing when we come in to consult with somebody about selling their house is we try to gather past information, because that's all we have. We only have past information. And by analyzing that past information, we try to make an estimate about what we think market value might be. But our CMA, our traditional sort of CMA thing, basically looks at what a different buyer paid for a different property in a different market, right? It isn't an accurate reflection of market value. It just is information. And so right now what's happening with the transition is, you know, it's not possible for you to put an exact number on a property, because what the buyer thinks today could be remarkably different than what the buyer thinks 4 days when you get that property onto the MLS. A lot can happen in the world in 4 days right now. We also know that buyers are rescinding offers on a fairly regular basis. And that's because their psychology is changing about the market. And so, you know, market value will change as that psychology changes, and all of the things that are influencing that society, that psychology of the buyers is complex. It's world events. It's what their friends are saying. It's social proof. It's you know, a massive amount of things that are affecting that. So you guys don't know where the market's going. The top economists in the world don't know where the market is going. Nobody knows where the market's going. And if you say you do, most people with any level of education will actually think you're a fool. Like, you actually look foolish. If someone said to me, oh yeah, no, the market's totally going up or the market's totally going down, I'm like, okay, cool. And in back of my dialogue is that person has no idea. They don't even know what they don't know. So we can't know where this market is going. It's impossible. It's too complex. But what we do know is that we have incredibly accurate information. And the more recent that accurate information is, the more valuable it is. And we can share that with our clients. And with that, help them make a strategy to move forward that gives them the best odds for the outcome that they want. And once you get there, all the pressure's off, because if you think you can give them a number and then it's absolutely going to happen, you're going to fail. You're going to be too low. You're going to be too high. You're just going to be completely out to lunch.
Mm-hmm. That is a really great takeaway, and you're absolutely right. And I wonder then, so what advice do you have then for realtors who are dealing with these buyers who are worried, wanting to rescind? Because a lot of it is the psychology around it, right? I get some people may have found themselves in a financial bind, but you know, what's a piece of advice that you can share with the agents that are here today if they are facing that?
Yeah, I mean, fiduciary agency duty says if your client wants to rescind, you rescind. That's it. You know, I can remember the first time it ever happened to me, and it was, you know, it's pretty upsetting as an agent, because you think they're wrong and you think you've done all this work, and now you're, you know, not only going to miss out on the sale, you think they're making a mistake, but then you're also sort of losing face with the other agent. I mean, there's a lot going on for the agent when an offer is rescinded. The one time that happened to me, and I supported my client, of course, because that's what fiduciary agency says we have to do. They never bought a house. They're still in that house that they didn't move out of 25 years later. And they're in the right house and their family is functioning incredibly well. And he probably sent me 25 referrals because I backed him up and it was the right decision for him. And that is integrity. And integrity earns you the right to more business. So recognize your fiduciary agency duty and have your clients back.
And it's really important to remember that we don't know what's best for people. Like, we really have to trust. We have our opinions, right? But our opinions are from where we stand, not from where they stand. And that's where it comes back to meeting people where they are, understanding where people are. And we can't know what is right for somebody. We can make suggestions, we can help guide them, we can ask prompting questions to help get the clarity for them, but we really don't know. And I think that story that you just shared really drives that point home. It's like, here's this person who was ready to make a move, rescinded, and is still now happy, in the home that they were in way back when.
Yeah. So I love, you keep saying where they are. I think that's the third time you brought it up. This is important. And there's a whole school of thought going on and a lot of talking about empathy or perspective taking, all the same sort of thing. And I think that, as both you and I being trainers in real estate, it's really important to help all of the realtors understand how important that is in so many dimensions. So perspective taking, empathy, or meeting them where they are, because they're the experts in their life. We aren't. We're the experts in real estate, which is cool. It's like super fun place to be.
Yeah, exactly. So you opened up a little bit about talking about lead generation, and you kind of said, that's not really, my thing that I choose to focus on, or we're hearing a lot of that. And I know that you don't coach your agents that come to you on lead generation. So how do they get their clients? And you kind of already dropped a few little clues to that so far in our conversation, but I'd love for you to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Okay, so most coaching companies coach lead generation, almost primarily, and the psychology that's holding people back from doing lead gen and how do you do it in social media lead. And lead gen isn't just, lead gen is all business development, anything that you do to be able to meet people who might move. And of course, it's an important part of real estate. But what I've found is that sort of 90% of the training in our industry is on that. Or 95% of the training in our industry is so much so that when I speak to top level brokers, they're like, oh no, we teach social media stuff too. And I'm like, but that's lead gen. Oh yeah, but we also teach like sales skills. And I'm like, that's lead gen too. So, it's sort of interesting. I'm not saying that you guys are going to get to the point where you don't have to do lead generation, but honestly, the top agents, they don't do any lead generation. They just don't. And so the agents that I teach or coach one-on-one, it's all about negotiation skills and then building strategy to be able to get those listings, sold at the best outcome. And, when I get a client who wants a new client and they, oh yeah, well, I want to do lead generation. I'm like, here, let me help you find a different coach for that. And just because I'm not good at it, or maybe I just don't want to do it. I probably am pretty good at it, but I just don't want to do it.
I think you can. I think it's a choice.
So my clients get their clients the same way I do, by being really good at what we do. And when you're really good at what you do, you're not going to have any trouble attracting clients. So I have a metaphor that I use for this because it's one we all kind of like, is massage therapist. We all love having a massage. Well, most of us, okay. Almost everybody loves having a massage. And, there are massage therapists who are unbelievably good at what they do. Every single person who's on their table has a life-changing experience every time. And there's rosters, the rosters for those therapists are booked up months in advance. You have your weekly meeting, and if you give it up, you can't get back on the roster. They don't have to do any business development. They don't have to do any advertising. They don't have to write a blog or a podcast. They just do their work because they're so good at it, as opposed to a massage therapist who's pretty good. So fine, they're not bad at what they do. When you have a massage with them, it's nice, but they're only booking 3/4 of their roster. And so they are always trying to get new clients. And it's exactly the same with real estate. Without a doubt, if you're exceptionally good at what you do, if you're remarkable, if people are so taken with your skills and the experience that they have and the outcome that they get, you are remarkable. They will remark about you. They will speak of you. at dinner parties, at friends, on social media. And, you know, it doesn't mean you don't ever have to do any prospecting, but basically when you're excellent at what you do, you're making calls to people who want to talk to you. And that's a very different thing. And it's, you know, it's everybody's angst in real estate is they don't want to make calls. They don't want to talk to people because they're afraid of rejection. Well, get good at what you do. At the same time, obviously, develop your lead generation skills because, you know, we all have to start somewhere. We have to build our roster. But honestly, getting good at this is really essential if you ever want to have a business that you love doing.
I love that. I love that. And that's a perfect analogy because I think we can all relate to, you know, being on someone's table or being in the presence of somebody and they're just that good that they're, and you're right. You cancel, you're not coming back for another few months unless somebody else cancels. So how does somebody get there? And you've done, I mean, this is your story, this is your life. You got really good at being exceptional in real estate services to get your business to where it is, and you've done the same thing now with your negotiating practice and negotiating educational services. So how can agents get really good at what they do?
Yeah, I think it's the same as getting good at anything. And unfortunately, we have a culture right now that's really about pretense, where it's okay to pretend that you're good at something. And it probably evolved out of reality TV. You know, that if you watch a cooking show, you're now a great cook, right? And so that isn't okay, right? There's nothing about pretending you're good at something that will make you good at something. And I don't care if it's flying an airplane or selling real estate or racing a yacht. You know, you actually need to get good at it, which means learning. And, you know, learning is complex. Learning is not just getting the skills. Learning is a mindset. Learning to learn is really a huge thing now, particularly because the world's changing so quickly, both the world in general, the business world and real estate, that, you know, your ability to learn becomes your asset as opposed to the actual things you know. And so it's absolutely negotiation skills, but it's also critical thinking skills. It's also internal knowledge about what it is that's holding you back, your fears, your concerns, your mindset. You know, this is what Michelle does remarkably well. And one of the reasons I'm so happy to step out of that space, because it's important space, right? If you think about every leadership school, top leadership school, the whole first section of any leadership program, hundreds of thousands of dollars people spend, the first journey is internal. You need to know yourself. You need to know your strengths. You need to know your gaps. You need to know what's holding you back and come up with tools to overcome that. It's important. Then it's negotiation skills. Then it's, you got to know the market. You have to, you know, you have to make the commitment to know what's going on in the market. Yeah, it takes time. You got to like kind of be on it. You kind of definitely want to see every house in your marketplace. You kind of want to know what's going on with different offers. You want to have a relationship with all the agents. I mean, without a doubt, the one-on-one, my one-on-one clients, they talk to every single listing agent that's had a property on the market in the last 2 months if they weren't able to get in to see that house, because they want to know what happened. What was it like? So yeah, so it's just work. But, you know, we get paid really well. You know, you know, imagine if a lawyer just kind of pretended they were good at stuff. Would you want them representing you? Oh yeah, I'm good. I got that kind of like, it's crazy. We wouldn't allow a lawyer to get away with that. And so realtors, you know, aren't going to get away with it for long either.
Yeah.
So get good.
Yeah, and we can't let ourselves get away with that. And I think, you know, we can say it's fear, we can say it's stress, we can say it's overwhelm, and that is all very true. But at the end of the day, I do think that there's an ounce of laziness in there. And I think we become comfortable and complacent with how we've been able to do the business with very little work because things were selling themselves. You know, the extent of the role of a buyer's agent was preparing 10 offers. Like that
Right.
was really it. It was offer preparation. There was very little room for negotiating. There was very little room for strategy. And on the side of the sellers, it was, you put it out there, there was a lineup of people waiting, and that's no longer the case, at least not as a, you know, across the board. And so as we start to see things shift, I think it's really important to remember that our role, like what is our role as a realtor? I think that's probably a very important first question to ask, because we're not the order takers. That's not what it's like to work in a active fair market. And that's very different than what we've experienced.
Yeah. So order takers, right? Which is really the role that a lot of people have been playing. And I mean, I'm going to challenge you a little bit on the idea that there was no negotiations involved in the strong sellers market. I mean,
Yes,
I
I made
just,
an absolute comment. You're right. Challenge me on that because
yeah, I mean,
that's not
you know,
true.
I know that my clients were getting their buyers into the first or second house every time. So, right. Was that
Yeah,
just luck? No, it absolutely wasn't luck,
no,
right? It was absolutely, they were doing something differently to be able to make that happen. And those are negotiation skills. So it's negotiating both by helping your buyer client understand the situation, the power imbalance, and their options, and making good decisions amongst that. But then also the relationship that you have with built with the listing agent, to be able to give yourself the best chance. I mean, you know, let's be honest. You can adhere to the Korea code of ethics and still have some gray zone that can give you an advantage. And that's, of course, where top negotiators are always playing, is in that legal and ethical gray zone. And you got to know the rules inside out and backwards if you're going to play right up to the edge. So I think, you know, the agents who are order takers, like where they fill in the blanks on an offer and they attach it to an email and they send it off and they say offer attached. You guys are without a doubt order takers, and order takers are worth about 20 bucks an hour. And I don't know any of us that could live on 20 bucks an hour, but it also makes us incredibly vulnerable to the technology companies, right? It makes us super vulnerable because they're like, wow, there's like $18 billion in real estate commissions across North America, and all these guys are doing is order taking. That's easy to automate. And so we need to get really good to protect our industry. You know, that's sort of why I've stayed in the game and haven't retired yet, is to be able to help people. Hey, let's get back to being really, really good at this.
I love that you said that. I love that you said that. And that is absolutely true. And you're absolutely right. My comment was obviously just an absolute thing.
No, it wasn't wrong. It was in many ways right, but there's this nuance too.
There is, but that's the distinction that has to be made, that I'm glad you made for us, is that there was something different that happened. I mean, it wasn't luck. There was something different, and it was usually the action of the realtor in being able to manage expectations, in order to plan a strategy, in order to call the other realtor, in order to build rapport. It wasn't just, here's the document and I'm sending it off. And I think a lot of us are hiding behind that right now. And I think it's really important to get back to, what does it look like to be at an offer presentation table? And, you know, and even if that's not being made readily available by the listing agent, because maybe they're not sure of how to do it, or they're not comfortable, you know, us being able to bring our skills forward to the table and take a bit of control and start, you know, really looking at what are some of the areas that we can play in differently.
Yeah, I think there's just some incredible opportunities coming up, right? I mean, every time there's a market shift, and a significant market shift, which this might be, it might not be a significant market shift. There's like, I don't know, but it might be a significant market shift. And, you know, every time in my whole 37 years in this industry that I've seen a significant market shift, I've seen the hierarchy of agents change dramatically. Many top agents fall, and many medium agents rise to the top. I'm not saying all top agents will fall. Many top agents are great negotiators. They're highly skilled and they're pivoting like crazy right now, and they will stay on top. But some of the ones who, you know, maybe don't have the skills, they're just like really aggressive, we may see some correction there. But it's an opportunity for all of us to say, oh, things are changing. I want to be able to adapt my skills. I want to be able to adapt my mindset. I want to be able to serve my clients at a super high level in this emerging market. And there's a lot of trades going on. You know, in transitioning markets, there's a whole bunch of people think, oh my gosh, it's a good time to sell. The market might fall, I should sell. And then there's a bunch of people like, oh, I should buy. Interest rates are a little low. This is an opportunity to buy. And we don't know if they're wrong or right. All we know is if there's trades happening, then we want to advise them to do the best, to get the best outcome they can within the existing market that they're buying and selling in. So there's a massive opportunity right now for real estate agents who are capable of stepping up and doing a great job for their clients.
Absolutely. And this is why you are here with us today, is to be able to really, and guys, I say this, and I'm saying this with whole heart and seriousness, you need to learn from the best if you're going to be the best. And Suze is the best when it comes to the negotiating. She's the best of a lot of things, by the way. You know, she races, you sailboat race, right?
I do some sailboat
Yeah,
racing.
like you're an amazing human. Let's just put it that way. But when it comes to negotiating, you are the one that we have to be going to understand and learn. I mean, just the way you frame things, negotiating is not just about that, how can I win? It's coming at it from all angles and understanding what your role is and understanding how to step into that role and be better, be the best version, continue to get better. And you're right that anytime we see market changes, we see shifts in hierarchy, if we want to use that term, right? Where top agents come down, some agents come up, and it's really an opportunity. I like the way you frame that. It's an opportunity to shine. And so I'd love for our agents here to be able to shine and really be that best version. I'd love if you could just take a few moments before we end today to share about your MCNE designation. I know you've got some courses coming up.
Yep.
And they start around May 17th, I believe. So maybe you could just share with us a bit about what you do and those courses that you provide.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. And I always, it's always a bummer when these things sort of turn into an infomercial, but
no, it's not an infomercial. This is
I know I'm sort of joking a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's extremely powerful knowledge that you share and strategies that you share. And there's a reason why the agents that coach with you do extremely well in the business.
Yeah, I mean, these courses are different. Feel free to, go online and see my testimonies, or more importantly, just ask people in the industry. I mean, that's sort of when people inquire about my courses and they, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, just ask people, and then boom, right? Like everybody's, oh my gosh, I heard this great stuff. So, that's kind of the best. The word of mouth is the most important. But I think that these skills are super important. So there's a series of 3 courses. You do the first course first, obviously. Imagine that. And you get your CNE designation. The designation isn't going to make you a better realtor. So many people take it for the designation, but then when they come to the course, they go, oh my God, the designation doesn't matter. The skills are what matters. And, these are skills that come from, the best business schools in the US and then applied directly to real estate. This isn't some sort of bush league stuff, right? We're going to go deep on what is negotiation. We got models and then we apply all of that right into real estate, which is super, super amazing. It's a 2-day course, 5 hours a day. It's intense. Like, it's totally intense. I'll tell you that. It probably should be twice as long, but realtors would never sign up for something twice as long. But you'll come out of that with a real framework of how to run your negotiations. Then if you like that and you like me, and over half the people that take the CNE 1 like the course and like me, so they go on and do their master's, which is 2 additional courses. And that's really about how to take all of that knowledge and apply it right into negotiation. So there's a buyer's suite, which is representing buyers, and then also an email course, how to do email. Because the truth is, we're spending most of our time doing written negotiations, and we have no training in written negotiations, which is absurd when we think about what we charge and we have no training in what we do. It's kind of weird. So that's a super valuable course. And then, so that's the buyer's suite. And then the seller's suite is obviously, working with the seller, both to get the listing and then to be able to build strategy and get a really good outcome for your seller. And then there's a day or half a day on negotiating across cultures, which Canada is this phenomenally beautiful kaleidoscope of cultures. And yet these cultural differences can cause concerns at a negotiating table if we don't kind of find the common ground and have a framework to work through that. And fair housing is something that's very important to me. And so I think that I bring that fair housing issue into that course as well. And then the final course is on generations, which obviously is different. 25-year-olds are really different than 57-year-olds in a big way. So, bridging that. So yeah, so all of those courses, and the comments I get from people is real estate is not only way more successful for me now, it's way more fun. And I think that really rings true with the work that you're doing, Michelle, is about, if we enjoy this, we're going to be better at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Catherine had a question. She says, are these in person or online?
Yeah, so they're all online. They're live though. They're live interactive. There's a lot of pressure on me from my consultants and from the US company to book them passively on demand online. And I'm not ready to do that. The results, I mean, I did them in person before COVID, obviously. And the feedback that I've had from people that have done both is they prefer the online. Small groups, we do 25 for the seniors, for the master's courses, and up to 35 or 40 for the CNE 1. So pretty small groups, very interactive. The nice thing is that you don't have the distractions that you have in person. In person, you always have someone who gets up and has coffee and changes. So, I look at these people, realtors we're pretty high energy. Some might say we all have ADD. I don't know if that's true, but some people are always walking around and distracting, and none of that's happening online. So they are online, but again, read the testimonials. I think what you'll find is that they're pretty darn engaging. I'm not flying across the country anymore.
Yeah, no, but you make it, listen, you and I had this conversation. It's way more accessible. And I think that was a big barrier is, different time zones, the travel factor, timing of when you might be in Toronto versus when you might, be conducting these, elsewhere in Canada. Like it is way more accessible for people. And I think it's been a huge game changer because I know personally a lot more agents have been able to take it and take advantage and learn and deepen in the work of cultural understanding. Those are fantastic courses. They should actually be part of licensing, really and truly, but we want you to be the specialist in that. So we keep that afterwards, but it truly is, they're life-changing courses. And not only in real estate, but what you learn from them is applicable everywhere. Right? In every interaction that you have with people. So I would highly, encourage you. I see Miriam's asking, let us know where we can find the courses. I'll make sure that we drop that in the chat as well. But if you check out Suze's page at The Nature of Real Estate, you'll find all of her courses there. And you have all of them. I love that you have this, but you have them all structured right now, starting in May. So you can actually get your CNE 1 done, the buyer suite, the seller suite. So they're all kind of happening consecutively. So now is the opportunity, guys, to jump on this because this is the window of opportunity, that we were talking about. There's opportunity here right now with changing markets to be able to better your skills, to master yourself and your business in order to manage this so that when things shift, if things shift, you're the one coming to the top. And that's what we want. We need more people at the top with these skills, with this amount of knowledge and expertise so that we can elevate the industry.
Yeah. So, closing remarks, just, and then questions if anyone has any, but, I work with consultants and coaches, obviously my own self. And one of my coaches said the other day, you're trying to save the industry for the consumer, not for the agents. And I was like, well, that's interesting. But, I want to close on that because, I actually think that what real estate agents do when they do it really well is incredibly valuable. Certainly worth all the money you get paid. But more importantly than that, right? When people make great decisions about real estate, they have a better life. They move maybe 3 times instead of 5, which means they have a lot more money for retirement. They get their kids into the right schools. They have a home that has the right energy and feel for their relationship to flourish. I don't take it lightly that what we do matters, but only if we do it well. Throwing people into houses so we can make more money and win more awards isn't important, but doing what we actually do. And, if we don't raise the bar, the tech companies are going to take a big bite out of our industry because what we do, that sort of order taking or that pushing or that salesy approach, makes us highly vulnerable to tech companies. And, tech companies are going to come into the space without a doubt. We all know that. But if we do this right, the tech companies are our tools. We use tech companies to help serve our clients, which would be great. They want us to be their tools, right? They want real estate agents to be the underlings who do sort of the running around for them. And I think that knowledge, expertise, professionalism, collaboration, these are the things that will keep our industry vibrant and where all of us can continue to, serve people in the world of real estate.
That was the best summary we can possibly end off with. And I want to open up the floor right now, guys. We've got about 5 minutes or so. If you have any specific questions for Suze on, any maybe situations you're dealing with, maybe you've taken her course and you just want to, go a little bit deeper on something. So I'd like to give you the opportunity right now to type that in the chat. And certainly if you guys end up chiming in a little bit too late, Suze and I will both be able to come back to this and respond to your questions in the chat as well. So we're not just gone after this moment, but I'd love to at least open up the floor for anybody who does have any specific questions. And Lori says, I can't wait to take the next 2 courses with Suze. Yes, Lori had jumped onto the CNE one. And I'm so glad that you're going to continue with that, Lori.
Didn't we have fun? That was super fun group. That was a really, I mean, all the groups are pretty good because they're small, but that one was exceptional for sure.
Well, I have distinct memories, Suze, when you were doing them in person and you happened to be in Toronto, and we were able to put one on for our agents at the brokerage. And I remember walking upstairs to our third floor, because that's where we had our training academy, and the buzz and the energy in that room, you felt it. And that's what you bring out of people. You know, you bring people together, you share the knowledge and the insights, and you help them apply it. So really, really powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty super fun.
Okay, I see here. Yeah, someone says, Arnella says, I've been trying to get in for years and always missing it by a day or two. So Arnella, get on the website, find those dates, book them off.
They do sell out, you guys. Like, don't, like, so many people, oh, I'm gonna wait till the last minute to see if I'm like have any client appointments. Well, they do sell out. I mean, I can't help that, because that's, otherwise I couldn't limit the numbers, and 75 people in an online course would suck. So they do sell out. So yes, register.
Yeah, and Alyssa has a question that says, are these classes geared to Canada only? I'm in the US.
Oh, hey, Alyssa, that's a great question. So, it's an American organization. And I've, changed the courses to suit Canadian laws. So, there are American versions that you could take, for sure. And so if you go to the Real Estate Negotiation Institute, those guys will have a great course for you. I mean, I'd love to have you in our group. You're welcome to join us. And there's not that much difference. And it's pretty obvious where the differences are, but there is an American version with some good instructors. So
they're not Suze.
Well, I mean, I'm a little biased on that, but
hey, listen, it's the truth. It's the truth. You're absolutely fantastic. I'm really grateful, Suze. Thank you. I really can't say it enough, for you taking the time to share this with us, to really give your perspective from your 30+ years of being in the industry and really coaching those high-level agents. And you're right. You said something that was really key that I'd love to sort of just end off with. And that is, when we approach the business transactionally that way, when it's all about the awards and the push and the sales, we lose the fulfillment. And here's what I know about our industry. We get into this people business because we like people and we want to help. And we really want to have that fulfillment and impact. And if that's what's lacking in your business, it's probably the approach that you're taking. And I think it's really important to, if you really are in this for the long run, you want to enjoy what you do. And that's really where you get the most out of it. And I know you and I have had conversations about that, how important it is to really align yourself and do the things that you love and do them in ways that fit you, right? Because we're not all the same beings. We don't all have the same blueprint and the same strengths. So it's really important to find ways of doing that. And that's what you teach. Believe it or not, guys, that's what you walk away with, is a sense of how to do the business better in ways that work for you so that you can find the joy and the fulfillment and you elevate yourself. And that is extremely important.
Beautifully said. Alignment. I get the Alignment Academy.
You get it?
Thanks for the chance today. And thanks to everybody who came. And let's just rock this industry.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Suze. You guys, if you have any questions, continue to drop them in the chat and we will make sure we circle back. And I'll also leave the link for your website, so those that are here can go and check out your classes. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy your amazing week ahead and all the runs that you're going to be doing and the sailing that you're going to be doing. I hope the weather, starts to warm up and is nice for you for that.
Thank you so much. And the same back to you, girl.
Thanks, Suze. Take care. Bye, guys. Bye.